Welcome back to Due Process Daily, where we break down the law, politics, and the biggest legal stories impacting America today. Today, we are diving into the bombshell verdict just handed down in the federal criminal trial of music, mogul Sean Diddy Combs. What did the jury decide? What crimes was he actually convicted of? And how many years could he realistically serve behind bars? Let's get into it. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Number 1. The verdict. On July 2, 2025, after a 7-week trial in federal court in Manhattan, Sean Combs was convicted on 2 counts of transporting individuals to engage in prostitution. However, in a major victory for his defense team, he was acquitted on the more serious charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking, which carried potential life sentences. So, what does that mean in practical terms? Each of the 2 prostitution-related convictions carries a potential sentence of up to 10 years in federal prison. That means Combs is currently facing a possible maximum of 20 years. But federal sentencing guidelines, prior criminal history, and mitigating factors will play a huge role in the final outcome. Sentencing has been scheduled for October 3, 2025. Until then, Combs will remain in federal custody, as the judge denied his request for bail citing credible evidence of prior domestic violence and flight risk concerns. Many legal analysts have noted that denying bail for a non-violent offense is relatively rare in federal court, but judges have broad discretion when there is evidence suggesting the defendant might flee the country. In this case, prosecutors argued that Combs has extensive overseas business dealings, private jet access, and millions in liquid assets, making him a heightened flight risk. Number 2. The criminal statutes. Let's break down exactly what Combs was convicted of under federal law. The first count relates to Title 18, United States Code, Section 2421, also known as the Mann Act, which criminalizes transporting any individual in interstate commerce with the intent that they engage in prostitution or illegal sexual activity. The second count falls under a similar provision, focusing on transporting an individual specifically for prostitution. These laws were originally passed in the early 20th century to combat interstate sex trafficking, but they remain powerful tools for federal prosecutors today. Over the decades, the Mann Act has been used in a variety of high-profile cases involving celebrities, politicians, and business leaders. Critics argue it can be overly broad when applied to consensual adult activities, while supporters emphasize its importance in protecting vulnerable individuals from coercion or exploitation. Importantly, Combs was acquitted of racketeering conspiracy charges under Title 18. United States Code Section 1962, also known as RICO, as well as sex trafficking, under Title 18 United States Code, Section 1591, both of which carry dramatically harsher penalties, including potential life sentences.
They know that you care about them, and it's also you get to hear how they feeling about certain situations, and you get the news quicker than the news gives it to you.
Number 3. The evidence and context. So what led to these convictions? Prosecutors presented a mountain of evidence over the 7-week trial. This included testimony from former partners, including Cassie Ventura, who alleged she was coerced into participating in so-called freak-offs, which were drug-fueled sex parties. Financial records showing payments to escorts and individuals transported across state lines. Private flight manifests and hotel bookings, tying Combs to specific events and trips. Surveillance footage and cell phone data, corroborating the travel and timing of these encounters. The government argued that Combs orchestrated these events, often luring young women with promises of career advancement, money or drugs, and then subjecting them to sexual acts with others. The defense, on the other hand, maintained that these events were consensual adult encounters and painted the accusers as opportunists seeking payouts or career leverage. Legal experts also noted that the government's use of digital forensics played a decisive role in corroborating witness testimony. This included extracting deleted messages from encrypted apps and using metadata to prove the timing and location of Combs' communications with various individuals involved. Ultimately, the jury rejected the most serious allegations of trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, but found that the government had proven beyond a reasonable doubt that Combs knowingly transported individuals for the purpose of prostitution, which is still a felony under federal law. Number 4. The reaction and what is next. How has the world reacted to the verdict? Prosecutors hailed it as a victory for accountability, even though they fell short of convictions on the most severe counts. They emphasized that the ruling sends a clear message: orchestrating paid sexual encounters across state lines is a federal crime, regardless of fame or wealth. Combs' defense team called the verdict a partial victory, focusing on the acquittals. They argue that the jury's refusal to convict on racketeering or trafficking shows that the prosecution overreached by trying to paint Combs as a criminal kingpin.
He has not sexually assaulted anybody, certainly hasn't sex trafficked anybody, and the jury found that today.
Meanwhile, Combs continues to deny all wrongdoing and has vowed to appeal the 2 convictions. His legal team argues that the jury instructions were flawed and that the events were consensual adult activity, protected under privacy and liberty principles.
And that we all must remember that allegations are nothing. And I'd like to thank Sean for letting me be here.
Outside the courthouse, reactions have been polarized. Supporters argue that Combs is being unfairly targeted because of his wealth and status, while critics maintain that this case highlights long-standing abuses of power within the entertainment industry. Social media has exploded, with hashtags both supporting and condemning Combs as fans, and activists debate the fairness of the prosecution. In practical terms, Combs will remain in federal detention until sentencing on October 3, 2025. From there, he will likely begin serving time in a federal prison facility, pending the outcome of appeals. Number 5. Bottom line. So what is the bottom line? Sean Diddy Combs has been convicted of 2 serious felonies involving the transportation of individuals for prostitution. He faces up to 20 years in prison, though his ultimate sentence could be lower, depending on federal sentencing guidelines. He avoided life sentences by being acquitted of racketeering and sex trafficking. But the 2 convictions alone will have massive implications for his life finances and legacy. Beyond the criminal consequences, Combs now faces a barrage of civil lawsuits from former partners, employees, and associates. These suits could result in tens of millions in damages, further tarnishing his public image and draining his business empire's resources. Legal analysts predict a long road of appeals and civil litigation ahead as his attorneys fight to keep him out of prison and protect his assets. His upcoming sentencing hearing in October will determine whether Combs spends the next decade or more behind bars, or whether his legal team can secure a significantly reduced sentence. Either way, this case is a stark reminder that fame and power do not insulate anyone from federal criminal prosecution when prosecutors believe they have the evidence to prove their case. That is it for today's breakdown on Due Process Daily. If you found this legal breakdown helpful, informative, or just shocking, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our uploads covering the law, politics, and the people who shape them. Comment below with your thoughts on this verdict. Was justice served, or did the jury get it wrong? Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time on Due Process Daily.